Before we get to the video here, just a quick sponsor for today. Our sponsor is going to be Nike Air. So they just sent me these free Air Force Ones, so go check them out, Nike.com, and let's get right to the video. What's up, guys? You can't see I'm wearing my fresh OVO shirt, so we're looking good for the video. But today we're going to be looking at the NHL playoffs, and we're going to be predicting who's going to win, and we'll see like what the bracket will look like. So let's get straight to it. Okay, so this is going to be the bracket. So I'm going to just straight up start with the top seeds from each conference. So in the West, I feel St. Louis is going to be good, like they were last year and won, but I think they're going to be second, and I think Colorado is going to really be a tough team to play against. So I'm going to have to put Colorado first, St. Louis second, and then Dallas and Vegas is going to be tough because they're both kind of wild card teams. Like, I don't know much about each team. I know Vegas more, but like Dallas, I've never really watched a Dallas game that when they're not playing Vancouver. They're not really interesting to me, but they actually are a good team. So I'm going to go Dallas third and Vegas last because I think Vegas is starting to lose its magic from their first year. So yeah, I'm going to go Colorado, St. Louis, Dallas, Vegas for the West. And moving over to the East here, we're going to go, Boston has been playing amazing all this year, which I hate to see because I absolutely hate them. But I'm going to have to put them at first. And then I'm going to put Philadelphia, Fuck. I'm going to put Philadelphia second. I feel like Carter Hart is a really good goalie, and I feel like they're going to surprise everyone and beat the Washington and Tampa Bay. And then third is going to be Washington. I feel like Ovechkin's going to keep scoring like he always does. And then Tampa Bay is starting to lose its magic as well. They always seem to be like the team to beat and stuff. But I think they're going to not play well like they did last year because I also don't like them. So, but that has nothing to do with it. But yeah, I just don't think they're not as good as they used to be back in a couple years ago. But yeah, so we're going to go Boston, Philly, Washington, and Tampa for the East seeds. Okay, we're going to look at the East here, get them over with, because I don't really care about the East. I care about the West, to be honest. So let's get it done with. I do have the bracket up on my computer here, so I will be looking up there. So starting with the Leafs and Columbus, I really want the Leafs to lose. But I think they just got too much firepower for Columbus. But we did say that last year when they played Tampa, which Tampa was a way better team than Toronto, and Columbus swept them. But this all depends on the goalies of Columbus, Merzlikins, and I forgot the other one, some Latvian dude. But I'm going to have to say the Leafs. This one's like 50-50 for me. But I'm going to have to say the Leafs. And yeah, it's just a tough one. I may come back to it, but the Leafs will have to go through for me. Now we're looking Pittsburgh and Montreal. Montreal has been an okay team this year. They were like 500, I think. But I think Pittsburgh just too good, and they're way too experienced for Montreal. Like the Montreal players, like only like Carey Price and Shea Weber have like gone far in the playoffs. Probably before. I don't know any of the other guys like Max Domi. I don't think he's ever made the playoffs. And Gallagher. Oh, Gallagher's made the playoffs, but like they've never really gone far, and I don't think they have too much experience. So I think Pittsburgh's going to win that in a couple games, or like I'm not going to say which games, but like this series will end like rather quickly. Okay, now the Islanders and the Panthers. This one's going to be interesting. A rematch of like that one with Tavares scoring the goal in overtime, the wraparound goal. I forgot what year it was, probably like 5 years ago against Luongo. But I'm going to have to say the Islanders played well last year. They swept Pittsburgh, actually. But I feel like Florida is going to surprise everyone and beat the Islanders. I feel Bobrovsky is going to light it up, and even though he didn't all season, he's gonna like show that he's a really good goalie and he deserves that like $11 million contract for the next 20 years or whatever. Um, just exaggerating there. It's like 11 years or something. But yeah, I think Florida is going to beat the Islanders. Just underdog there. And then the last one here is Carolina and the Rangers. This one is also going to be tough. The Rangers did look good, and Panarin is an awesome player this year. They must be really happy they got him because he's like, he's kind of like MVP dark horse maybe. I don't know. Probably not going to win it, but like he's been really good this year. But I'm gonna have to say Carolina. Carolina, they got experience last year. They're a good young team, and with good goalies, they're just a bunch of no-name guys that like all play well together. Like they don't really have many superstars, other than like Aho and Svechnikov. But I'm gonna have to take Carolina on this one, and that's gonna be it. I'm still thinking about that Leafs and Columbus one. But yeah, I'm going to have to stick with the Leafs for now. But I'm definitely going to be cheering for Columbus because they're a cool team. And I hate the Leafs. I hope they die in a fire. And yeah. Let's go. Western time, boys. So now I'm wearing my Canucks jersey because I like the Canucks, actually, if you haven't noticed. So starting off here, we're going to look at Calgary and Winnipeg. This is going to be an interesting series because both teams are kind of crap this year. I didn't watch many games of them, but when they played the Canucks, and I've heard, and I just like the, their goalies have been pretty good with David Rittich and Connor Hellebuyck. Hellebuyck will probably win the Vezina trophy. I want Markstrom to win, but I think Hellebuyck will probably win because he's kind of carried them this year. This one's going to be tough, though, but I think Winnipeg, they both kind of have experience. I'd say Winnipeg has more experience because they went to the Western Final and lost to Vegas 2 years ago. So I'm going to have to say Winnipeg in this one. Even though they are one seed lower, I'm going to say Winnipeg will win this series. Now looking at Edmonton and Chicago. Now this one's tough. I really don't like Edmonton, but I just think their McDavid and Draisaitl will just light it up against the Blackhawks, who are a young, kind of like very unexperienced team now. Only the goalies and Crawford, Taves, and Kane are like the experienced guys there. There's like everyone else is the young guys. So I'm gonna have to say Oilers on this one, sadly. Now looking at the Canucks and Wild. I want the Canucks to win. I want them to win the cup. But this one's going to be tough, I think, for the Canucks. Because I think Minnesota, people always say like they're like irrelevant and stuff. But every time they play the Canucks, I think the 2 games they played this year, they beat the Canucks. So that's kind of a good thing to look at because Kevin Fiala kind of popped off this year. He's been playing really well. But and they're not really experienced. Some of their players have some playoff experience, but the Canucks have like no playoff experience at all. Probably like Tanev, Edler, and I don't know. That's it. Maybe like Beagle and those guys, but like the young first 2 lines, they have like no playoff experience at all. JT Miller is going to be a key in this series, I bet. I feel like he's going to either be awesome, and if he's awesome, he's going to carry the team because he's a really good player. So I'm going to have to take the Canucks on this one, but I think this series will go to 5 games, or Game 7 or Game 5, whatever you want to call it. But it will go the distance, and I think the Vancouver Canucks will win it. And then last series here is going to be Nashville and Arizona. I didn't even know this was a series. Like, I don't even care. But I do like the Predators. They're probably my second favorite team. I've gone to a game there. I have some family down there, so I'm kind of connected to them. But I want Nashville to win, and I think they're going to win. I think Arizona is not experienced at all, and Nashville is like a lot. And I think Nashville, they're like chances for the cup are slowly going down after they lost in the final to Pittsburgh because their players are starting to get old and stuff. But I think if Johansson and Turris can play well, because they haven't played amazing this year. Tourist got scratched a couple times. He's been playing kind of crap. But if those guys can play well, and Roman Yossi will always play well, and Pekka Rinne will be a huge key to this one because he's sometimes really good in the playoffs, and then sometimes he just turns really shitty. But I'm going to have to say Nashville on this one. So, yeah, Nashville will be going through. And that'll be it for these Western series. And these are all the planned series. So we're going to move on to the next, considered the first round or whatever. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. Now, this is considered the first round, but basically the second round. But, there is still 8 more series in this round. So it is the first round. And we're going to start off by looking at Boston and Toronto. And this one's going to be, it's going to be a tough series, I think, for Toronto and Boston. They're both good teams. I hate them both. But I think Boston's going to win it again. I think they're just too good for Toronto. And Toronto, I don't know, they always seem to screw up. Now we're going to look at Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. This one's going to be a very skilled matchup. Both teams are really good. But I think Pittsburgh's going to just overpower them. And, yeah, I think Tristan Jarry, the goalie for Pittsburgh, is going to play well. And I think Tampa Bay is going to slowly collapse. So, yeah, Pittsburgh's going to win this one. Now, this series is going to be very interesting. Philadelphia and Florida both have great goalies in Bobrovsky and Carter Hart. So I think it's going to come down to a goalie battle and see which one plays the best. But I think Philadelphia overall will have a better team, and they've played way better this year. So I think Philadelphia will be moving on, and Florida's run will come to an end. Now we're going to be looking at the last series here of the East. This is going to be Washington and Carolina. This one's also going to be really good. But I think Carolina is going to win this one in like 5 games or something. I don't know why, but I just feel Carolina is going to want revenge from last year, from losing in the conference final. And I think they're going to be really wanting to win more than Washington, who won their cup 2 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember. But I think Carolina, will overpower them and move on to the second round. Now moving on to the West, this is going to be the first round, Columbus and, there you go. Sorry, wrong team there. Winnipeg, I meant. Now Winnipeg and Colorado is going to be very interesting, but I think Colorado will prevail in 4 or 5 games. I think Colorado is going to be the top team in the West to beat. And I think they're just too much for Winnipeg, and Connor Hellebuyck can't carry them this far. So yeah, Colorado will be moving on. Now we're gonna see Edmonton and Vegas go up against each other. I looked at the scores from the previous games this season, and the Golden Knights beat them 3-0 and 3-2 in overtime, and then the last game was canceled. But I see Vegas moving on here. I think Connor McDavid and Draisaitl can't carry their team this far. And they won't get into the draft lottery, which is very good to the whole league, except for Edmonton. And yeah, I think Vegas will just win this one pretty easily. Now St. Louis and Vancouver. Sorry, I couldn't find a St. Louis picture with a black background for this one, so it has to be white. But for this one, sadly, I'm going to have to take St. Louis over my Canucks. I think just St. Louis is just too good of a team. I definitely would be cheering for Vancouver in this one, but I think this one would go maybe 6 or 7 games, but I think the Canucks just don't have enough experience. And almost none of their players have really long playoff experience. And St. Louis won the cup last year, so they're all ready to go and they know how to do it. But St. Louis might be tired at this point. So if St. Louis has some injuries and stuff, I think the Vancouver could pull this one off. But this one is going to be very difficult for Vancouver, and right now I'm going to have to say St. Louis. But this one could change in the middle of the series with some injuries to St. Louis. Vancouver could really capitalize on that. So I'm taking St. Louis on this one, sadly, but yeah. And Dallas is going to win this one. I don't really know why, but I just think they are. Nashville's not very good anymore, so Dallas is going to win this one. Now moving on to round 2 here on the East, we're going to have Boston and Pittsburgh, and then Philly and Carolina. Boston and Pittsburgh, it's going to be tough. This one's a very hard decision, but I'm going to say it's so hard. After like lots of thought, I think Boston's gonna just be too much for the Penguins with Pasternak and Marchand and those guys. So yeah, Boston is gonna move on to the Eastern Conference Final, and then they are gonna play Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia will be too much for Carolina, and Carolina's run will end here again. So sadly for Carolina fans, there will be no cup for you this year again, and Philly will be moving on to play Boston. Now in the West here in round 2, St. Louis will play Dallas and Vegas will play Colorado. This one's going to be very interesting. 4 really good teams, 4 different styles of play. But I think Dallas is going to win this one against St. Louis. I think St. Louis is going to hit some injury problems, and guys are going to be tired from playing all of last year into the finals. So I think Dallas will be moving on to the conference final for the 2nd year in a row, and they'll get revenge from St. Louis last year because they lost to them. And then Vegas and Colorado. I think Colorado will win this one pretty easily. Vegas is just running out of magic there. I think they're only really good when they're playing at home in Vegas with their fans. And this year they won't be having any fans and not at home. So I think Colorado will beat them. And Colorado's just, I think, too good of a team. So yeah. So conference finals here, we're going to have Philadelphia and Boston and Dallas and Colorado. Philadelphia and Boston will be really good. I'd say it goes 7 games. And I'm going to pick Philadelphia on this one. I know Boston's like the best team in the league this year, but I think Philadelphia is going to be the underdog, and they're my dark horse this year to make the finals, and they're going to make the finals in my prediction, and they are going to be playing the winner of Dallas and Colorado. This game will also be the series will also be very cool to watch. It could go 6 or 7 games, but I'm going to have to take Colorado on this one. Colorado is just too good of a team, I think. They've got lots of firepower, and I think Dallas, maybe their goaltending won't be as good with Ben Bishop. But this one's going to have to depend on how good Grubauer is for Colorado, the Colorado goalie. And I think he's going to do well, and I think Colorado will move on to the finals. So now this is going to be the Stanley Cup final. It's going to be Colorado and Philadelphia. I don't think anyone expected Philly to be in the final. I think Colorado was kind of a favorite in the West besides St. Louis. But I think this series is going to be weird. Like no one really expected it to happen. But I think Colorado will eventually win their cup here. I think Philadelphia will be good, but not good enough to stop McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, those guys. And I think Bowen Byram might be playing with them. They might be playing Bowen Byram with Colorado during these playoffs. So I think just Colorado is going to end up winning and is going to be your Stanley Cup champion for this year. But yeah, make sure to like this video and subscribe. And I'm going to do a video after this all happens, and see how many predictions I got right for each series. So that'll be fun. And let me know in the comments who's going to be your Stanley Cup champion. For me, I'm saying Colorado. I don't really mind if they win. They're good and all, but they've won cups before, so it's not like they're making the Canucks look worse by winning a cup. But yeah, I just think they're going to be the overall champion this year. So make sure to like and subscribe, and yeah, have a good one, guys.